I can't believe how much these swelling's gone down overnight.
Sometimes the humor in this show is especially lowbrow.
Oh, there, what did I tell you? It's gone down 8 inches overnight.
Not that we'd have it any other way. I love the red cross on Crichton's monitor.
Did you bring my breakfast?
Yes, sir. Hot lager with croutons, just the way you asked.
So it turns out that Lister has had space mumps for the last 3 weeks and has only had Crichton for company, since Rimmer has been on vacation and Cat is Cat.
He's been a bit preoccupied of late, what with all this pod business.
Well, that and they discovered an escape pod which may contain a woman who has been cryogenically frozen.
That's just great, isn't it? The first female company in 3 million years, and I look like something that belongs up a whale's nose.
By the way, I love Lister's outfit in this episode. I think it subconsciously reminds me of the Dread Pirate Roberts, and somehow that works.
Maybe I could wear a turban and pretend I'm from India.
Maybe you could stick a spike in your head and pretend you're the Taj Mahal.
So Cat shows up and activates the pod when they notice that no one else has done it. I'll talk more about this scene when I do those separate videos about the cat, but...
So she's just an ordinary person who doesn't go for your type.
I'd have heard about her. She'd have appeared in Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Basically, they're already arguing over who is going to have a shot at the woman who is supposedly in the pod.
What you gonna do? Paint it with yellow and black stripes and tell her you play quarterback with the Bengals?
And Cat makes an American football reference. It seems like Europeans are always knocking American football because rugby is so much better. I don't watch either, so I don't really care, but it did kind of surprise me to hear a reference to American football that isn't knocking it in some way in a British show. Anyway, Cat's adorable. Let's move on. But Rimmer comes in and is as sensitive as always.
Listy, what are you doing up? Shouldn't you be in the greenhouse with the rest of the cantaloupes?
But then he finds out that Cat activated the pod, which he wasn't supposed to do. It turns out that while there may have been a woman in there, there's an equal chance that it could be a mass-murdering android.
They're not androids, they're simulants. The basic difference is that an android would never rip off a human's head and spit down his neck.
Or simulant, rather. And since this is Red Dwarf, I think we can predict which one it'll be. Apparently there's no way to stop the defrosting process, and no way to x-ray the pod to find out what's in it. Cat suggests arming themselves with bazookoids and facing it head-on in case it turns out to be a simulant.
Let it eat laser.
Simulants are virtually indestructible, sir.
Of course, Rimmer suggests ejecting it into space, even though it could still be an innocent woman. This is the same guy whose first reaction to Cat is that he wanted to chuck him out the airlock, so I can buy this. For once, Holly has the answer. The black box contained the coordinates for the penal colony that the pod was heading for, so the plan is to take it there.
If it turns out to be Bellini, we release her. If it's the simulant, we can bung him in a cell and leave him to rot.
So Cat and Lister are piloting Starbug, while poor Crichton has to sit through Rimmer's vacation slides.
Could we take a break for a while? It appears my intelligence circuits have melted.
Well, we're not going to get through them all, Crichton, if we take a second break.
Sir, that's a gamble I'm willing to take.
And then...
God. His head burned.
I do love Cat, but he has been especially jerkish in this episode, so it is kind of refreshing having him get his comeuppance.
I don't want to live. God, please. Shoot me in the head.
I love how in the following shot they're both totally immaculate like it never happened. That's a random bit of cartoon logic. I also like how the space station where they're going, Justice World, looks like the scales of justice. Nice touch. So obviously Justice World has extremely high security, so they have to wear what are called escort boots, so they can't get away if it turns out that they're guilty of something.
I can't wear these, I'm a hologram.
That has been accounted for.
Nice cover. So one by one they're each led into a mind probe.
Oh, the computer was just searching our minds, presumably for any evidence of criminal activity, sir.
Now Lister is worried.
What do you mean, criminal activity?
Listy, is that a small sewage plant you're carrying in your trousers? Or do I detect you're a tad concerned?
So the computer has made its decision. Crichton is freed. Then Cat.
Hey, I hear they do good bread and water here, buddy.
Too bad smugness isn't a crime. And then, surprisingly, Lister. That just leaves Rimmer.
Guilty of second-degree murder. 1,167 counts. Your willful negligence in failing to reseal a drive plate resulted in the deaths of the entire crew of the Jupiter Mining Corporation vessel, the Red Dwarf.
Oh, that!
That reaction is comedy gold. So Rimmer has been sentenced to prison for 9,000 years.
Brought you a book.
Oh, thanks. That'll really help the centuries fly past.
But Crichton is working on putting together his appeal.
This isn't a bad place for a prison.
So it turns out that there's no need for locks or bars. Instead, it uses something called a justice field. That's going to be on the test later.
Just try and commit a crime, you'll see. Arson, try and set fire to those sheets. Whatever crime you try and commit, the consequences happen to you.
Smack it out! You could have just explained that to me verbally.
Oh, give the guy a break. He needs some kind of entertainment.
You see, it's the perfect system. It forces the inmates to adhere to the law. Once they get out, it's become second nature.
That's interesting. I have to wonder how well that would work in the real world. Sounds good. So Crichton tells Rimmer about the appeal he's put together.
What the mind probe detected was your own sense of guilt about the accident. In a way, you tried and convicted yourself.
That's our Rimmer.
I simply have to establish that you're a neurotic, underachieving emotional retard.
I love that Crichton said retard.
But how would you begin to build such a case? Where would you conjure up the evidence?
I don't think it's going to be that hard, Rimmer.
In the case of Arnold Judas Rimmer, the guilt it detected attaches to no crime.
And now Crichton presents his case.
He was a lowly grease monkey, a zero. Yet he could never come to terms with a lifetime of underachievement.
Rimmer basically has to choose between a 9,000-year prison sentence and to stand there and be insulted.
He's like the security guard on the front gate, who considers himself head of the corporation.
I have a feeling Crichton has been wanting to say some of this stuff for a long time, and it's so amazingly on the nose.
Crichton, you're going over the top. The court will never buy it.
Sir, trust me, my whole case hinges on proving you're a dork. Name?
Dave Lister.
Occupation?
Bum.
I think Lister literally took a bandana and tried to tie it around his neck like a necktie.
Would you describe the accused as a friend?
No, I'd describe the accused as a git.
Who would you say then is the person who thinks of him most fondly?
I do.
And are there no others who've shared moments of intimacy with him?
Only one, but she's got a puncture.
And there's another reference to Rachel.
A man of such awesome stupidity.
Objection!
Objection overruled.
A man of such awesome stupidity, he even objects to his own defense counsel.
Rimmer is basically choosing the prison sentence at this point, and Crichton ends his defense with the sentence that probably sums up Rimmer better than any ever uttered on the show.
This man is not guilty of manslaughter. He is only guilty of being Arnold J. Rimmer. That is his crime. It is also his punishment.
Of course it works and Rimmer is set free.
Objection!
Sir, what are you objecting to now?
I want an apology.
They go back to Starbug and...
I don't know what made us want to come to this hellhole in the first place.
Oh yeah, that pod issue. And of course it turned out to be the Simulant, so they run back through security into the Justice Zone.
What's going on?
Look, I have no weapon.
Lister has a bazookoid, but the Simulant unarms himself, and Lister can't bring himself to shoot him.
Of course in the back. It's only a pity he's awake.
You mean you could happily kill him if he was asleep?
I could happily kill him if he was on the job.
You wouldn't shoot an unarmed droid. Come out and let's discuss it.
For this being a comedy and all, I think that Simulant actually looks pretty cool. The actor plays him really creepy, too.
I lied.
So did I.
But I lied. Twice.
Didn't think of that. What do you want to talk about?
Your death.
And this is where the justice field comes into play. So it's definitely a good thing that Lister didn't try to shoot him in the back a little while ago with a bazookoid. He would be dead now if he did. Of course, Kat doesn't know about the justice field. So they go back home and Lister goes on a long rant about justice.
Life by its very nature has to be cruel, unkind, and unfair!
Thank God for that.
He might have broken his neck. And so ends Justice. This was a good episode. I'm probably sounding like a broken record at this point because, as I said, seasons 3 and 4 are where the series really starts to pick up for me, and there are very few episodes where I'd have much to complain about. This one had another peek into how fucked up Rimmer is without the episode having to be about that. However, Crichton's defense speech is definitely a highlight. Other than that, we have some gross-out humor that manages to be hilarious, and a fun little standout character in the murderous Simulant. This episode isn't terribly deep, but it brings up some interesting ideas about how a futuristic justice system could work. Again, I'm not sure if it would work in reality or not, but I could definitely see something like it being attempted once the technology permitted it. There isn't a whole lot else to say about this one that I haven't said already. Next up is White Hole. A white hole? See you then.
If you don't go sub a program loop, you'll never get a subroutine.
We have a human expression which is pretty similar. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Oh no, I think the Android one is punchier.